Chocolate Snow in Brezno. From the bakery by the tram shop, the smell of honey, sour cherries and warm bread wafted across the square. Women dripping in jewellery and wearing high-heeled boots and thick sheepskin coats balanced oversized gift boxes tied with red and gold ribbons. It was the night before Christmas Eve. Anna Christina watched the wide streets of Brezno slowly empty as people hurried home to their families. Eventually the cars and the shoppers stopped arriving, and the baker's bell fell silent. An icy wind blew through Victory Square, shaking the branches of a giant fir tree covered in coloured lights. A younger brother, Nico, shivered beside her and pulled his sleeping bag more tightly around him. "My tummy hurts, Anna," he said, teeth chattering. She stood up stiffly from her cardboard bed. "Don't move. I'll be right back," she said. They hadn't eaten for nearly 2 days, and the cold seemed to bite even harder. Anna Christina climbed the escalator to the food court. The change in temperature made her blood fizz. Grand Mall was always warm, and at night it was a break from the wind. Most shops had closed early for the holidays, and it might be too late to find any leftovers. The cafe chairs were already upside down on the tables, the bin bags tied securely. Tears blurred her vision as she searched the empty cafe for scraps. There! Unnoticed, on a sofa seat, she spotted a half-eaten doughnut that she gratefully scooped into her pocket. At the top of the escalator, a lone security guard in dark blue uniform appeared and marched towards the cafe. Anna Christina dived under a nearby table, her pulse pounding in her ears. If he caught her, he would call the police, and she and Nico might be separated. She'd promised that would never happen. The guard was less than 10 paces away when his walkie-talkie crackled. He paused, and she held her breath, counting silently to 10. At 9, he turned and walked off. Her breath burst out all at once. Pampushki, my favourite," Nico said when she returned with the stolen food. She pressed it into his sock-covered hands. "Where's yours?" he said with his mouth full. There wasn't enough for both of them, so she changed the subject. "If you could have anything for Christmas, what would it be?" she said. It was a game they played to entertain themselves. The more fantastical the answer, the better. "That's easy," Nico said. "I'd ask St. Nicholas to let us come and live with him." "And why would he do that?" "Well, he doesn't have any kids, so he could borrow us, and we'd help him test new toys and tell him what things children like." "Yes," Anna Christina added, joining in. "We'd be really helpful, and we'd sleep in the sleigh barn with fur rugs. Then we'd be nice and warm." They agreed that would be a good plan. "What would you wish for?" Nico asked. The baker flipped his sign to closed and tapped a tin of cocoa. A brown cloud puffed up and drifted into the light like tiny flakes. "For chocolate snow to fall from the sky. Then we'd never have to be hungry." Nico asked how it could snow chocolate. "The baking fairies, of course," Anna Christina said, taking up the story. "You didn't think cakes made themselves, did you?" "No way," he said, his whole body shaking. A tram bell clanged twice. He flinched, then grinned. "The baking fairies have a giant book of recipes, which they learn by heart," she continued, stamping her feet to warm them. "Hundreds of fairies fly into the sky, casting spells and making delicious food in the clouds, cakes and biscuits mainly. They carry a giant sieve made of strong, super strong cob—" "What's a sieve?" Nico interrupted. "Shh," or I won't tell you my story. Sorry, Anna. It's a metal bowl with holes in it, she said, except theirs is made from cobwebs, and they use it to carry white chocolate buttons. Oh, I know. And do they sprinkle them on the clouds, like when you add chocolate drops to a cake mix? Yes, she continued. And then, when the clouds are nice and full, it snows chocolate. Nico asked whether the buttons would hurt when they fell on him, but she reassured him they were as light as air and melted when they touched his skin. An icy gust swirled around the square and slipped inside their sleeping bags. They were so busy talking that she hadn't noticed a man in a high-vis jacket approaching. The powdery snow muffled the sound of his boots on the frozen pavement. They'd learned to be careful. Some strangers meant trouble. They might report them, steal from them, or hit them. When Anna Christina finally spotted him, she grabbed their few belongings to run. Quick, Nico! But his fingers were numb and he couldn't unzip his bag in time. Please, don't split us up, she blurted out, or make us go back. Nico whimpered when the man reached them. The stranger smiled. He stopped 2 arms' length away and kept his hands where they could see them. He looked clean and smelled of soap, not smoke. He was wearing a red Santa hat and squatted beside them. Don't worry. I won't cause you any trouble. What's your name? He added, nodding at Nico. Don't tell him, Anna Christina snapped. Too late. The words had escaped from his mouth before she could warn him. I'm Nikolai, too, the man said, showing Nico his charity ID. After a short pause, he said, Oh, clever idea with the socks, nodding at the makeshift mittens on Nico's hands, 1 red sock, 1 yellow. He set a foil packet on the ground between them. Ham and cheese, he said. Take it, if you want. Nico stretched out his hand and looked at his sister. Nikolai continued. I work at a shelter nearby. It's warm and safe. There's hot food and a bath. Would you like me to take you there? Anna Christina touched the pale, round scar on her hand. But what if they contacted him? He can never find us. I know, Nico said quietly. She studied Nikolai carefully. He looked familiar. He had kind eyes, with crinkly lines when he smiled, and he smiled often. Not all men were bad. But her body didn't believe that yet. She half remembered him from the Tuesday hospital bus in Victory Square. Or was it the Thursday soup van? She suddenly felt exhausted. They couldn't run forever. Can we talk? Nikolai asked her. She looked around to check it wasn't a trap. The camera blinked red over the tram stop. There, she said, pointing to a bench out of view of the camera. We'll talk there. But before she could move, a police car pulled up to the curb. Anna Christina's stomach dropped. She squeezed Nico's hand. Evening, said the officer as the window slid down. His eyes flicked from the sleeping bags to the cardboard boxes and back to the children. Security reported a theft at Grand Mall. Nikolai stepped forward. They've been with me, he said, his voice steady. I'm taking them to the shelter. The officer held his gaze. The engine ticked in the cold. All right, he said at last. Merry Christmas. The car drove away. Anna Christina let out the breath she'd been holding. "Do you want to go?" Anna Christina asked Nico seriously, but she already knew the answer. Only if you do," Nico said loyally. Nikolai had just fed them, and he'd helped when the policeman stopped. For all she knew, another officer might be waiting on the next street with questions and rules that could split them up. She stuffed their few things in a bag. They'd cautiously agreed to go with Nikolai, who had promised to keep them together. Nico turned to his sister and whispered, "Do you think he's the real Sir Nicholas?" She didn't answer. But as they followed him towards the children's shelter, snow began falling like soft fairy kisses. Somewhere on a side street, a bakery fan sent a warm, sugary fog floating across the square. Tipping his head back, Nico stuck out his tongue. "Anna," he whispered, eyes wide. "It tastes like chocolate."